At the Air Force Academy in Colorado, cadets were accustomed to long days of discipline, training, and relentless routine. But this particular morning felt different. Rumors rippled through the ranks, whispers of a special visitor, speculation that grew louder with every passing minute. Still, nothing could have prepared them for the announcement. President Donald Trump was coming to the academy. As cadets lined up for morning drills, excitement buzzed through the air. What would he say? What would he do? Jack Turner, a young and ambitious cadet, could hardly believe it. He had heard the president was scheduled to give a speech, but he had no idea this visit would be anything but ordinary. Jack had long admired President Trump, believing his business success was unmatched. He had joined the Air Force Academy with big dreams, serving his country, making his family proud, and one day becoming an officer. As the visit drew closer, Jack's nose kicked in. If he had the chance to speak with the president, what would he say? He hoped the visit would offer inspiration, but he couldn't have imagined how deeply it would affect him and everyone else. When the motorcade rolled through the academy gates, the cadets snapped to attention. President Trump stepped out of the vehicle to a chorus of applause, waving and smiling as he acknowledged a sea of uniforms before him. But instead of heading straight for the podium, he did something unexpected. He walked directly toward the cadets, shaking hands, making eye contact, speaking to them not as subordinates, but as people, almost like old friends. The moment stunned everyone. This wasn't a scripted speech or a distant address. The president had come to engage. As Trump moved through the ranks, he asked questions, real ones. What inspired them to join the Air Force? What challenges had they faced? What did leadership mean to them? Jack, who had expected political talking points, was caught off guard. Trump listened intently and shared reflections drawn not from politics, but from his experience as a businessman. "I've failed before," Trump admitted. "More than once. Leadership isn't about barking orders. It's about connecting with people." That candid, down-to-earth honesty broke through the academy formality and created a powerful sense of connection. Later, Trump followed the cadets to the training grounds, watching them demonstrate their drills and physical exercises. Afterward, he shared another unexpected lesson. "Leadership isn't about being the loudest person in the room," he said. "True leadership starts with humility, respect, and understanding. It's about serving others, not taking credit for their success." The cadets, expecting a traditional military speech, were stunned. Instead of lecturing from above, Trump spoke from the heart. As the tour continued, he opened up about his own setbacks. "There were times I failed. Big time," he said with rare vulnerability. "But failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. What matters is how you rise afterward." For Jack, this moment stood out. He had always seen Trump as a figure of absolute confidence, someone who never stumbled. Hearing him acknowledge struggle was powerful. It reminded the cadets that no one, no matter how successful, is immune to failure. During the visit, Trump noticed a quiet cadet named Emily. She often felt overshadowed by more outspoken peers and quietly questioned whether she truly belonged at the academy. Seeing her hesitation, Trump paused to speak with her privately. "You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else," he told her gently. "Your journey is your own. Don't let anyone define your limits." That brief exchange became a turning point for Emily. For the first time, she felt seen and capable of greatness on her own terms. Later, during a leadership exercise, Trump stopped the cadets and asked a simple question. "Why are you here?" They answered with the expected words, duty, honor, country. But Trump pushed further. "Why are you really here? What's the reason behind the reason?" The question shook them. For many, it forced deep reflection. Jack realized that part of his motivation had been about impressing others. In that moment, he understood that true leadership required deeper values, a genuine desire to serve. Before leaving, Trump challenged him one final time. "I want each of you to do something you've never done before, something that scares you, and do it with passion." The challenge came alive. Some cadets pushed themselves physically through grueling obstacles. Others found the courage to speak up for the first time. Jack chose a different path. He wrote a heartfelt letter to his family, expressing fears and emotions he had never shared. The following day, Jack approached President Trump and opened up. "I'm afraid of failing," he admitted. I'm worried I won't live up to expectations. Trump listened carefully. It's not about proving others wrong, he said. It's about proving yourself right. Believe in your abilities, even when it's hard. Leadership starts with self-belief. Jack walked away changed. Leadership, he realized, wasn't about impressing others. It was about staying true to himself. As the visit came to an end, Trump surprised everyone with a final ceremony. Instead of honoring academic or athletic excellence, he recognized cadets who had shown exceptional kindness and service to their peers. True leadership, he said, isn't about fame or accolades. It's about how you treat others. And the world needs more kindness, especially now. The lesson lingered long after the motorcade departed, shaping the cadets' understanding of leadership forever. Leadership the cadets were stunned by. The president's message for many it was a profound reminder that leadership should be measured by the positive impact one has on others, not just by personal. Instead of concluding the visit with recognition of academic or athletic achievements, the president led the cadets to a memorial dedicated to fallen soldiers. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Silence settled over the group as they stood before the engraved names of those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. Trump spoke quietly, with gravity. You may wear a uniform today, he said, but remember, this is more than a uniform. It's a promise to serve, to protect, and to give everything for something greater than yourself. The cadets stood motionless, deeply moved. In that moment, they understood that their journey was not about personal success or recognition, but about honoring the legacy of those who had come before them. Days later, Jack discovered an unexpected letter in his mailbox. It was from President Trump. The note was brief, yet personal. Trump thanked Jack for their conversation and offered one final piece of advice. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about growth. Stay true to who you are and never stop learning. Jack was stunned. He had never expected the president to remember a short conversation, let alone take the time to write. The letter became a touchstone for him, a reminder that leadership was not a destination, but a lifelong journey of reflection and improvement. Emily, too, felt the lasting impact of the visit. Inspired by a conversation with Trump, she began to see her place at the academy differently. No longer focused on meeting expectations, she embraced leadership as an opportunity to serve. She started mentoring younger cadets, offering them the same encouragement she had once received. Her leadership, quiet, empathetic, and rooted in service, began to change the dynamic within her squadron. As her confidence grew, so did her influence. Others began to see leadership not as a position to attain, but as a responsibility to uplift those around them. As time passed, the cadets reflected on how profoundly their understanding of leadership had evolved. What they once assumed would be a routine political visit had become a transformative experience. Leadership was no longer about rank or authority. It was about humility, self-belief, and service carried out with integrity. They learned that leadership wasn't defined by the loudest voice in the room, but by the quiet actions that made a lasting difference. When President Trump prepared to leave the academy, the cadets gathered to say goodbye. They expected a formal farewell, but instead, Trump spoke candidly. I came here to speak to you, he said, but you taught me something too. Leadership isn't about power. It's about people. It's about lifting others up. Months later, Jack stood at the front of his class, leading younger cadets through their morning training. He had changed in ways he never anticipated. No longer focused on proving himself, he led with empathy, encouraged openness, and emphasized service above recognition. Jack understood now. Leadership wasn't about being the best. It was about bringing out the best in others. Emily's transformation was just as profound. Free from self-doubt, she had found her voice. As she rose through the ranks, she became a mentor and role model, unafraid to acknowledge her own weaknesses and use them as opportunity for growth. Her leadership reflected compassion, strength, and humility. Years passed, but the impact of that visit never faded. The cadets, now seasoned officers, carried those lessons into their professional lives. They led with humility, believed in themselves, and placed service above status. Their leadership was measured not by titles, but by the positive influence they had on others. The words spoken that day echoed through the halls of the academy long after the motorcade was gone, shaping generations to come. Years later, Jack and Emily met again, this time as colleagues in the Air Force. During a critical mission, they reflected on that unexpected visit and the lessons that had guided them through countless challenges. What had seemed like a single moment in time had shaped their lives. Their leadership, rooted in humility, resilience, and service, had become a lasting legacy, forged on a day that changed everything.